Meditation, why bother? Practicing meditation is not easy. It requires a lot of time and energy. It also demands endurance, determination, and a disciplined spirit. This process necessitates actively confronting one's personal character. These are precisely the things we usually dislike doing and tend to avoid as much as possible. This situation, according to Americans, is called judgment or creativity. Meditation requires creativity. This gives it a more positive position when compared to sitting back and watching television to pass the time. So why bother? Why spend so much time and energy when you could simply enjoy yourself? Why bother? The answer is simple. Because you are human. And just because you are human, you can recognize that you are subject to life's inevitable dissatisfactions. You can ignore or suppress it from your awareness for a while. You can distract yourself for a few hours, but it will return to you, often when you least expect it. Suddenly, seemingly out of nowhere, you sit up, present, and realize the true nature of your situation in life. There you are, suddenly realizing that you have been wasting your life struggling just to survive the whirlwind of life. You exert yourself in every possible way to make everything seem fine on the outside. Then, in an emergency, right then and there, you see that everything has always been eroding inside you, but you have been trying to hide it from yourself. In truth, your life is not neat at all, and you know it, but you have covered it up skillfully. In fact, you also know that beneath all these unresolved issues, there must be another way to live, a better way to look at life, a way to feel life more fully. Sometimes you achieve this. You get a good job, fall in love, win a game, and for a moment things seem different. Life is abundant and clear, momentarily masking the sadness and monotony. The structure of your experience changes constantly, and you tell yourself, all right, it's over and now I'll be happy. But that feeling of fulfillment fades away like smoke in the wind. What remains with you is only a memory. Those memories and a vague sense that something isn't right. But there is indeed another realm, deeper and more sensitive, that always exists in life. For some reason, you can't see it. Your feelings are always limited. The smoothness of sensory emotions always separates the sweet flavors from the experience you're having. So you can't really feel life. You lose it time and again. And then, even the vague awareness that remains fades away and you must return to your old shell. Life seems to be reserved for bad actions, sometimes making us feel utterly bored and disheartened. It's crazy, and you've spent who knows how much time drowning in the depths, always yearning to climb higher. So what is going wrong here? Are you eccentric? No. You're just human, and you are suffering from the same human condition that everyone else must bear. It's like having a monster inside each of us, with many arms, chronic stress, a lack of genuine compassion for others, even those closest to us, a constant feeling of being stuck and numbness. So many arms. None of us completely escape its grip. We can deny this monster, or always try to suppress it. We set up an entire education system to avoid it, pretending it's not there, and distract ourselves by not thinking about it. Instead, we focus on goals, plans, and statuses we aim to achieve. But that monster never goes away. It's an unending undercurrent in every thought and awareness. A silent voice in the head always saying, not good enough, need more, must have more. It's a monster. It manifests everywhere, in every subtle form. Attend a party, hear the laughter. The loud voices that speak of outward joy still can't hide the fear underlying the concerned expressions. We can sense the tension and heavy pressure. No one is truly relaxed. Everyone pretends that nothing is wrong. They go to a ball game, cheer the players from the stands, witness irrational outbursts of anger. They witness or participate in uncontrollable outbursts of frustration, simmering beneath those who pretend to be enthusiastic under the guise of excitement or high team spirit. Shouting, protesting, and indulging in selfishness in the name of loyalty to their organization. Fans become intoxicated, fighting with one another. These people are desperately trying to ease the tension within their own minds. They are people who do not have peace in their souls. They watch the news on screen to pass the time, listen to the most popular songs to follow the trend. You always hear the same old tunes being repeated many times, through various chords: jealousy, suffering, dissatisfaction, and tension. Life seems like an endless battle, an enormous effort to fight against abnormal events that always leave us perplexed. And what is our solution to these unsatisfactory things? We are trapped in an incurable disease, the disease of if only. If only I had more money, I would be happy. If only I could find someone who truly loves me. If only I could lose 20 pounds. If only I had a color TV, a hot tub, wavy hair, and... So where do all these trivial ideas come from? And more importantly, how do we deal with them? They arise from the conditioned, limited notions within our own minds. They lie deep down, hidden, and penetrate into habits and customs. And the extremely challenging issue is that we have not stopped reinforcing them little by little in the past. If we want to unravel it, we must use the same method and direction, unraveling it bit by bit. Adjust your focus, remove it piece by piece, and bring it into the light. We can create unconscious awareness, slowly, one thought at a time. The essence of experience is always changing. The very nature of change is continuous, unceasing. Every moment of life passes, and no moment is identical to any other. Continuous change is also the essence of the perceptual world. A thought arises in your mind, and within half a second, it vanishes. Then another thought arises and also fades away. A sound hits your ear and then stops. You open your eyes and the whole atmosphere floods in. You blink and everything disappears. People come into your life and they leave you. Friends go away, loved ones pass on. Fortune rises and falls. Sometimes you gain, but more often you lose. The flow of life always happens. Change. No two moments are alike, no matter how short. There's nothing wrong with this. It is the inherent nature of the world. But habits have conditioned us to respond inappropriately to this unceasing process. We categorize experiences. We try to cling to and grasp each perception, each psychological change in this flow. We categorize it into one of three mental frameworks: good, bad, and neutral. Then, depending on which category it falls into, we have a corresponding reaction based on our habitual psychological state. If a perception is deemed good, we try to stop time. We cling to that thought, cherish it, hold on to it, trying to keep it as long as possible, not letting it slip away. When those actions do not bring results, we put all our energy into recreating the experience that caused that feeling. Let's call that psychological habit attachment. On the opposite side of the mind is what has been labeled as bad. When we feel something is bad, we try to push it away. We deny it, reject it, get rid of it by any means we can do or think of. People often fight with their own feelings. We avoid every little part of ourselves. Let's call that psychological habit resistance. In between the two states of attachment and resistance is the state of indifference. Here we have a type of neutral experience, neither good nor bad. This is a state that we consider bland, uninteresting, or boring. Such experiences are set aside so that we can forget them and turn to the more exciting things we call the endless cycle of birth and death, of desire and aversion. This type of experience has almost completely occupied our thinking. Let's call this psychological state distraction. The direct result of all this ignorant behavior is an endless rut, leading us into a situation with no way out, constantly seeking pleasure, endlessly fleeing from pain, continuously distracted from more than 90% of our experiences. Then we wonder why life is so dull. After all, the thinking system we are using does not produce good results. No matter how hard you try to seek happiness and success, there will still be times when you will fail. No matter how fast you run, pain will catch up with you as usual. And during that chase and escape, life becomes so boring that you can become frustrated to the point of screaming out loud. Our minds are full of concepts and judgments. We have built walls around ourselves as a prison of life with our own likes and dislikes. As a result, we suffer. Suffering is a big word in Buddhist thought. It is an important term that needs to be understood clearly. In Sanskrit, suffering does not merely mean physical pain. It also means the dissatisfaction deep within the subconscious, a part of the cycle of birth and death. The Buddha once said, "The essence of life is suffering." At first glance, this seems overly passive and pessimistic to the point of being absurd. After all, we do have moments of joy and happiness, don't we? No, not entirely. But on a worldly level, it seems that way. Take any moment when you truly feel content and examine it carefully. Beneath that joy, you will find an underlying tension. No matter how wonderful that moment is, it must eventually end. No matter how much you have, it will largely disintegrate and then completely disappear at the end of the day, even if you preserve it or plan to have more. In the end, you will die and you will lose everything. Everything exists only temporarily. Does this sound too depressing? Fortunately, it doesn't necessarily have to be this way. It seems dismal when you look at it from the perspective of conceptual thinking, at the level of the worldly cycle. Beneath it lies an entirely different worldview, a different way of seeing and thinking about the whole. This is the level of activity where the mind does not want to keep time standing still, where we are not entangled in our experience while it is happening, and do not try to prevent and chase away anything. It is the level of experience that transcends both extremes, good and bad, pleasant and painful. This is a tolerant way of perceiving the world, and it is a skill to be learned. Although it is not easy to achieve, it is possible to cultivate. Happiness and peace. These are the fundamental issues for human existence. It is also all we have been searching for. Usually, this is difficult to see because we always want to hide these basic desires behind external goals. People want food, wealth, sex, possessions, and respect from others. We even tell ourselves that the concept of happiness is too abstract. Look, I am very practical. As long as I have enough money, I can buy all the happiness I need. Unfortunately, this mindset doesn't work at all. Examine these goals and you will see how short-sighted they really are. You want food? Why? Because I'm hungry. And what if you're hungry? If I eat, I will no longer be hungry and I will feel comfortable. Aha, feeling comfortable. This is the main point. What we are truly searching for is not the external goals, but something else entirely. What we are really pursuing is the feeling of relaxation, the driving force behind the sensation of satisfaction. Relaxation, letting go, is simply the end point of tension. Peace and happiness are states where there is no more craving. So what is this happiness? For most of us, complete happiness means having everything we want, having control over everything, having power like a king, making the world change according to our whims. Once again, these things are not an effective solution. Looking back at human history, those who held such ultimate power were not happy people. Life shows us that they were not at peace within themselves. Why is that? Because they believed they had absolute power to dominate the entire world, but clearly they did not. They wanted everyone to submit to them, but there will always be people in the world who do not like to submit to others. They could not control the stars. They still got sick and had to die. You can't have everything you want. That is something that simply can't happen. Fortunately, there is another option. You can learn how to control your mind, to detach yourself from the vicious cycle of greed and delusion. You can learn how not to crave what you want, how to recognize greed and not let it control you anymore. This doesn't mean you lie down on the path and invite everyone to trample over you. It means that you continue to live a normal life, but with a new and different perspective. You still do what a human being needs to do, but without being obsessed or driven by your own greed. You may still want something, but you don't need to chase after it. You may still fear something, but you don't have to stand there and endure it. These psychological attitudes are very difficult to achieve. It takes a lot of training to reach them. But wanting to control the entire world is impossible. Difficult is doable compared to impossible, isn't it? Please hold on a minute. Talking about peace and happiness, isn't that what human civilization has always been aiming for? We have built monumental structures like skyscrapers, highways, vacations, multicolored television, benefits like medical therapy, sick leave, social security, income support, etc. All of these are intended to provide some level of peace and happiness for humans. Yet the rate of mental illness continues to rise and social problems continue to escalate. The streets are still full of criminals and extremists. When you step outside, just a moment of inattention could have someone snatching the watch off your wrist. There's always something wrong lurking. A person who is truly happy does not have the motive to kill others. We like to think that this society is utilizing all human potential to achieve peace and happiness. We are only beginning to realize that humans have paid too high a price at the cost of the spiritual and emotional fabric of humanity for the overwhelming development in the material realm. and we continue to pay the price for this mistake. A case in point is the moral decay and spiritual degradation of American society today, and there are many issues that need addressing in this regard. The best place to start is with our spiritual side. By looking inward carefully, honestly, and objectively, each of us will see moments of "I am a thug" or "I am a madman." We will learn to see these moments clearly, without condemnation, so that we can grow and live more positively. You cannot make a fundamental change to your habitual way of living until you start to see yourself clearly as who you are. Once you achieve this, change will happen naturally. You don't need to force yourself or fight against or adhere to the rules of some authority controlling you. The change happens automatically. That's all. It's very natural. But getting to the point of direct intuitive experience for the first time is a very challenging task. You must see who you are and how you are, without any illusion, judgment, or resistance. You must see your real position and function in the social mechanism at this present moment. See your profession and duties towards those around you, and above all, your responsibility to yourself as an individual coexisting with other individuals. So, you must see everything clearly and as a whole, a simple structure full of internal relationships. It sounds very complicated, but it often happens in a moment. This spiritual attitude, to recognize these things, is not in conflict with meditation in the process of helping you achieve understanding or tranquility. In the Buddhist scriptures, which have been passed down for thousands of years, it is recorded, "What we are today is the result of what we have done in the past. What we will be tomorrow is the result of what we are doing today. The consequence of an unwholesome mind will follow you like a cart follows the ox that pulls it. The consequence of a wholesome mind will follow you like a shadow follows a figure. No one can do more for you than your own wholesome mind, not your parents, relatives, friends, or anyone else. A well-trained mind will bring happiness." Meditation is used to purify the mind. It cleans the thought process of what are called uncomfortable mental states, such as greed, hatred, and jealousy, which block human feelings. Meditation brings the mind to a state of calmness and awareness, a state of meditation and wisdom. In today's society, people deeply believe in education. Everyone believes that education creates cultured individuals. However, civilization also polishes people in a very superficial way. Consider this. Isn't it the highly educated leaders who have created wars and economic collapse under noble banners, reforms, and law enforcement? There is a vast difference in the ways of observing the law. On the one hand, because a person realizes through knowledge and imagery the consequences of punishment, they fear the outcome if they do not follow the law. On the other hand, it's because that person has purified themselves not to be contaminated by greed. It is greed that drives a person to act out of theft, jealousy, or killing. Throw a stone into the water ripples, but the inside of the stone does not change. If you throw that stone into a smelting furnace, the whole stone changes from the inside out. It melts. Civilization changes people on the outside, while meditation softens people from the inside, through and through. Meditation is also called the great teacher. It is a flame used to purify metals, slowly but effectively. The deeper your understanding, the more flexibility and endurance you will have. The deeper your understanding, the more widespread your compassion as a meditator becomes. You become a more perfect parent, an ideal teacher, ready to forgive and be tolerant towards others. You feel more love and sympathy for others. Because you have understood yourself, you also understand others. When you have looked deeply inside and seen your self-delusion and weaknesses, you will find the inherent humanity and then learn how to truly forgive and love. When you have learned to be compassionate towards yourself, compassion towards others naturally arises. A perfect meditator has attained deep understanding of life and lives in the world with vast, boundless compassion. Meditation is also like cultivating a new piece of land. To turn a wild forest into a cultivated field, you first have to clear all the trees and remove all the roots. Then you till the soil, fertilize, sow seeds, and care for the crops. To cultivate the mind, you first have to clear away all the irritations and frustrations on your path. Uproot everything so that it no longer sprouts. Fertilizing means you put energy and discipline into the soil of the mind. Next, you sow the seeds and care for the crops with faith, morality, mindfulness, and wisdom. Note especially that faith and morality have different meanings in this context. Buddhism does not endorse faith in the metaphorical sense of believing in a deity recorded in scriptures or attributed by prophets or transmitted to you through some authority. Here, it simply means confidence in your own inherent abilities, recognizing something as real because you have seen it when examining many aspects of your mind. Similarly, morality is not about adherence to external rituals or imposed behavioral standards. The goal of meditation is personal transformation. The self entering the experience of tranquility at one end is not the same self that emerges at the other end. Your qualities have been altered through the process of heightened sensitivity because you have developed and elevated your awareness of your thoughts, speech, and actions. Your arrogance will evaporate, and hostility will burn away. The mind becomes more settled and tranquil, and your life will be calmer than before. Therefore, proper meditation practice will better equip the meditator to face the ups and downs of life. It helps reduce stress, fear, and anxiety. Insecurity decreases and suffering lightens. Everything starts to fall into place, and your life flows instead of struggling. All of this occurs because of the right understanding according to the Dharma. Meditation enhances your ability to concentrate and think. Gradually, the functioning and structure of the subconscious become increasingly clear to you. Intuition gradually grows, the quality of your thinking increases, and gradually you gain intuitive wisdom about conditioned phenomena, recognizing them as they are without judgment or discrimination. So, isn't this reason enough to bother? Indeed. These are just theoretical promises. Therefore, the only way to prove meditation is worth the effort is to learn the right method and then practice it. Judge for yourself. Meditation is not meditation is just a word. You've heard this word before, or else you wouldn't have picked up this book to read. The process of thought is interconnected, and countless ideologies, philosophical schools, and religions have used the word meditation. Some of these concepts are somewhat accurate, while others have nothing to do with meditation at all. Some methods of other religions bear no relation or similarity to the practice of insight meditation. Before going further, we need to clarify a few issues in this area so that those new to meditation can understand without obstacles or confusion. Let's start with the most obvious points. We will not teach you to examine what's inside your stomach or chant any obscure mantras. You also won't need to subdue demons or harness any invisible energies. There will be no colored badges awarded to showcase your accomplishments, and meditators do not need to shave their heads or wear turbans. You don't need to give away everything you own and move into a monastery. In fact, unless your life is truly immoral and chaotic, you can start right now and make some progress immediately. Sounds convincing, doesn't it? There are many books written on the topic of meditation. Most of these books are written from the perspective of a particular religion or philosophical school. And many authors do not bother to clearly state their point of view while writing. They present meditation as general rules, but in reality, the writer is trying to promote a practice specific to their religious system. The result is confusion. Worse yet, the entire complex ideology and interpretation become disconnected. Now it all becomes a huge mess of conflicting ideas, compounded by scattered materials everywhere. We are applying only the method of insight meditation or vipassana. We will explain to you how to observe the workings of your mind in various states, whether calm or relaxed, so you can penetrate into the functioning of the true inner reality. There are some common misconceptions about meditation. These misconceptions appear time and again among new meditators, with the same questions continuing to arise. It's best to address these issues immediately, as they are preconceptions that obscure progress from the very beginning. We will tackle each preconception one by one to break them down. Misconception number 1. Meditation is just a relaxation technique. The problem here is the phrase just a. Relaxation is a part of meditation, but insight meditation aims at a higher goal. Even so, the above statement is very accurate for the meditation practices of other religions. All meditation methods that emphasize concentration involve focusing the mind on an object or a field of thought. When this is done steadily and proficiently, the practitioner reaches a state of deep relaxation and calmness called samadhi. It is an extremely peaceful state with a high level of happiness. This state of happiness is at a high level, far surpassing the pleasurable experiences within the range of consciousness. Most of these practices stop here. This is the ultimate goal of this practice, and once achieved, you continue to re-establish this experience repeatedly for the rest of your life. Insight meditation is not like that. It has a different goal: awareness. Concentration and relaxation are necessary elements to develop awareness. They are precursors, useful means, a type of beneficial byproduct, but they are not the ultimate goal. The ultimate goal of insight meditation is experiential realization. Vipassana is a profound practice aimed at purifying and transforming the life of the meditator. Misconception number 2. Meditation means entering a trance-like state. Once again, this statement only holds true for some other practices, not for Vipassana. Insight does not create any form of hypnosis. It is not about trying to empty your mind to fall into unconsciousness or turning yourself into an inert, unfeeling being. If anything, the opposite is true for insight meditation. The meditator becomes more attuned to their emotional changes. You will learn to know yourself with more precision and clarity. During the practice of this method, certain states may occur that feel like drowsiness for the meditator, but in reality that is not the case. In moments of sleepiness, the object of meditation is often lost and the mind wanders. Whereas in high concentration, the meditator is highly alert. On the surface, the two situations may appear similar, but inside they are entirely different. And these phenomena are not the focal point of Vipassana. As we have mentioned, the deep concentration of samadhi is merely a tool or a rung on the ladder toward wisdom. Vipassana is defined as the cultivation of mindfulness or awareness. If you find yourself drifting into unconsciousness during practice, then you are not meditating. That's according to the definition of the term used in Vipassana. It's as simple as that. Misconception number 3. Meditation is a mystical practice that cannot be understood. This is only partly true. Meditation deals with the consciousness deep within the mind. Therefore, language cannot fully express what is within this realm. However, this does not mean that we can never fully understand it. There are many ways to understand an issue more deeply than language. We understand how to walk, stand. You might not be able to sequentially describe the exact sensations and muscle contractions involved in walking, but you can still do it well. Meditation needs to be understood in the same practical way, by practicing it. It is not something you can learn through an abstract course. It must be learned through experience. Meditation is not a formulaic exercise that produces predictable results when certain variables are input. You cannot predict what will happen in any meditation session. Each session is an adventurous period for exploration and experience. In fact, this is true when you achieve the ability to judge and relate to your practice, from which you can use it as a guide. This indicates that you often lose your way during practice, leading to periods of stagnation. Learn to look at each moment as the only moment existing in this universe. This is the most crucial point in insight meditation. Misconception number 4. Meditation is for developing supernatural powers. No, the goal of meditation is to develop awareness. Learning to read your mind is not the ultimate goal. The final objective is not the ability to levitate, but liberation. There is a relationship between psychic phenomena and meditation, but this relationship is highly complex. In the early stages of meditation, these phenomena may arise. Some meditators may experience certain intuitions or past life recollections that others may not. In such cases, we cannot regard these as spiritual progress or psychic abilities. These phenomena should not be given undue importance. In fact, they are detrimental to novice practitioners because they are so enticing. These are traps that can lure practitioners off course. The best advice for meditators is not to cling to these phenomena. If they arise, just note each one, that's it. If they don't arise, that's fine too. They usually won't occur. At some point in the practice, a meditator may engage in specific subjects to develop spiritual powers, but this only happens in later stages. After the meditator has attained deep levels of samadhi, they may have the ability to use this power without being controlled or destroyed by it. The practitioner will develop this power solely to serve others. This stage only happens after many years of practice, so don't worry too much about it. Just focus on developing awareness. If voices and images arise, simply note them and let them disintegrate on their own without clinging to or pursuing them. Misconception number 5, meditation is dangerous and cautious people should avoid it. Anything can have potential dangers. Crossing a street, you could get hit by a bus. While bathing, you could slip and hurt your neck. In meditation, you may unearth many negative thoughts from the past. Events repressed and buried deep within the mind for a long time may surface, which can be frightening or beneficial. No activity is entirely free of danger, but that doesn't mean we should wrap ourselves in a safe cocoon. That's not living, that's waiting to die. The best way to face danger is to know something about it, how much, where, and how to handle it when it arises. That is also one of the purposes of this book. Vipassana is about cultivating awareness. The essence of the process is not dangerous, but rather the opposite. Increasing awareness is a defense against danger. If done correctly, meditation is a very gentle and slow process. Practice slowly, gradually, and develop your practice by allowing it to happen naturally. Nothing should be forced. Later, under the guidance and supervision of a good teacher, you can move faster to go through deep meditation courses. At the beginning, just take it easy, practice calmly, and everything will fall into place. Misconception number 6, meditation is only for monks, not for lay people. You will find this mindset very common in Asia, where monks and religious practitioners are highly respected by society. This situation is similar to the attitude Westerners have towards movie stars and famous athletes. Such people have been built up into role models, inflated far beyond the value of their own lives, and have been endowed with all sorts of attributes that few people actually possess. Even in the Western world, we have this mindset about meditation. We always expect meditators to be such revered figures that when they put a piece of butter in their mouth, the butter doesn't dare to melt. Just being near these people seems to dispel all illusions. Meditators must always exhibit immense energy and inspiration. They live lives filled with powerful words. Of course, this may be true for many meditation masters, but they do not meditate because they are monks. Rather, the opposite is true. They became monks because they meditate. Meditation is the process that brought them to that point of becoming monks, and they began their practice before they became holy. This is an important point. Many meditators seem to think that one must become completely virtuous before beginning to meditate. This approach does not yield fruitful results for practice. A moral foundation requires a certain level of psychological self-control. That is a prerequisite. When you have no self-control, you cannot implement any moral teachings. And if your mind is constantly in chaos like a blender spinning blades, self-control cannot exist. Therefore, psychological attitude must come first. There are 3 components of the Buddhist meditation method: morality, sila, concentration, samadhi, and wisdom, panya. These 3 components develop together during the meditator's practice. Each part influences the other 2, so the meditator must cultivate all 3 simultaneously, not separately. When you have the wisdom to understand situations truly, you will naturally have compassion for all beings. Compassion means that the meditator automatically restrains themselves from engaging in thoughts, actions, or speech that could harm themselves or others. Thus, the meditator's behavior naturally becomes highly ethical. You only create problems when you cannot understand things clearly. If you cannot see the consequences of your actions, you will easily be confused. Those who want to wait until they are entirely virtuous before meditating will never get around to it. It's like the saying of an ancient sage, "This person is waiting for the ocean to be completely calm before bathing in it." To better understand this relationship, imagine a system of moral principles. The lowest level is adherence to principles and rules set by someone else. It could be a prophet you favor, or a leader, spiritual guide, or your parents. No matter who sets the rules, at this stage, you only need to know them and follow them. A robot can do this. Even an African chimpanzee can do it if the rules are simple enough, and it gets whipped every time it breaks the rules. At this level, no meditation is required, just a set of rules and a person with a whip. The next level of moral principles involves following the rules but without a whip-wielding overseer. You follow them because these rules have become ingrained in your mind. You reprimand yourself each time you violate them. This level requires some self-control. If your thinking patterns are chaotic, so will your behavior. The level of psychological refinement will reduce psychological confusion. The third level of moral principles can be called the foundation of morality. At this level, all the necessary measures in the entire moral system we're discussing form a dynamic system of true measurement. At the highest level, morality, the individual does not follow rules set by any authority. They choose their own behavior, depending on the necessary conditions. This level of morality requires true understanding and the ability to judge all aspects of a situation to find a dynamic, adaptable solution for each circumstance. Moreover, each individual decides what is necessary to overcome their own limited views. They must see the whole situation from an objective perspective, impartial to their own needs and those of others. In other words, they are not bound by greed, hatred, jealousy, or all the selfishness that usually clouds their vision compared to others' perspectives. Only then does that person choose the clearest and most appropriate actions for the situation at that time. This level of morality certainly requires meditation practice unless you are naturally born a saint. There is no other way to gain this skill. Moreover, such training is extremely difficult. If you try to juggle multiple aspects of the issue in your mind, you will only exhaust yourself. Intelligence cannot keep too many balls in the air at once. It will become overloaded. Fortunately, the deeper levels of consciousness can easily carry out this process. Meditation can accomplish this stage for you. It's a mysterious feeling. One day you face a problem, say dealing with Uncle Herman's divorce. Clearly there is no good solution and the massive mess of entanglements leaves you feeling anxious. The next day, while washing dishes and thinking about something else, a good solution suddenly arises. It jumps out from the subconscious and you say, "Aha," and the problem is solved. This kind of intuition can only occur when you step out of the cycle of reasoning around the issue and give the subconscious a chance to devise a solution. Consciousness only stands in the way, making events more stagnant and difficult. Meditation teaches you how to escape the cycle of thought. It is a spiritual art for problem solving and also a useful skill in everyday life. Meditation does not necessarily have to be reserved for ascetics and hermits. It is a practical skill that can be used in daily events and immediately applied to the lives of everyone. Meditation is not from another world. Unfortunately, this truth creates a problem for some types of meditators. They practice with the expectation of immediately perceiving the celestial realm. What they often gain is a way to sweep away afflictions and solve life's difficulty. They become unnecessarily disappointed. The sediment must be removed first. The voice of angels takes a long time. Misconception number 7. Meditation is an escape from reality. Not true. Meditation is about integrating into reality. It does not isolate you from life's suffering, but helps you delve deeply into life in all its aspects so you can penetrate the wall of suffering and transcend pain. Vipassana is a practice carried out with a clear intention to face reality, experience life as it is, and confront what you find. It helps you rid yourself of illusions and transcend all self-deception at any time. What is there, is there. You are who you are at this moment. Deceiving yourself about your flaws, self-encouragement, and justification only further binds you to the illusion. Vipassana is not intended to forget the self or hide a meditator's difficulties. It teaches you how to see yourself as you are, to see what is there and accept it fully. Only then can you change them. Misconception number 8. Meditation is a good way to achieve bliss. Well, yes and no. Meditation can sometimes penetrate into states of tremendous happiness, but that is not the ultimate goal and does not always happen. Moreover, if you meditate with that goal in mind, the chances of these states occurring are lower than if you meditate with the correct aim of developing awareness. Happiness is the result of relaxation, and relaxation is the result of letting go of tension. Seeking happiness through meditation injects tension into the process, affecting all conditions related to it. It's a dilemma. You can only be happy when you're not chasing it. Compared to the state of euphoria and feeling wonderful, which you may pursue, there are easier ways to achieve it. These are available at inns or shady corners down the street, everywhere in town. Euphoria is not the goal of meditation. It is a byproduct that can happen, a kind of delightful side effect that lasts longer with prolonged meditation. You won't hear any denial of this from long-term meditators. Misconception number 9, meditation is selfish. On the surface, it may seem that way. The practitioner sits motionless on the meditation cushion in the corner of the room like a wooden statue. Is that person donating blood? No. Are they busy helping disaster victims? Also no. But consider the motivation of that person. Why are they doing this? Their intention is to purify their own mind of anger, prejudice, and cruelty. They actively participate in the process of eliminating greed, tension, and indifference. These mental states have been obstructing the practitioner's compassion for others. Unless these states are removed, all the good the practitioner has done, is doing, and will do is just a way to nurture their ego. Egoism, under the guise of helping, is the most popular facade of all time. Those in supreme power are the loudest about their noble deeds. The Islamic courts were all conducted to bring about the welfare of the majority. Examining the personal lives of genuine meditators, you will see that they often engage in charitable activities. You are less likely to see them acting like participants in missionary campaigns, ready to sacrifice any individual for the sake of religious devotion. In fact, we are more selfish than we think. The self has a way of turning noble deeds into filthy actions if we give it a chance. Through meditation practice, we become more aware of ourselves, recognizing every hidden aspect of how we manifest our selfishness. Then we genuinely begin to become selfless. Purifying our selfishness is not a selfish act. Misconception number 10. When you meditate, you sit there thinking lofty thoughts. Not true. There are some systems of contemplation that do this, but not Vipassana. Vipassana is about cultivating awareness. Awareness of what is here, whether it is noble truth or the worst filth. Whatever is here in the present moment. Of course, good, noble thoughts may arise during the practice. Surely this is unavoidable and does not need to be sought out. They are merely wholesome feelings that are contingent. Vipassana is a simple practice. It involves intuitive experiences about the conditions of one's life without bias or imposing states upon them. Vipassana meditation is watching your life unfold moment by moment without judgment. What arises will be revealed as it is. It is that simple. Misconception number 11. After just a few weeks of meditation, all my problems will disappear. Unfortunately, meditation is not a miracle cure for all ailments. You will see changes immediately, but the real effects may take many years to become evident. That is the way of the universe. Nothing precious can be achieved overnight. Meditation is even more challenging in some aspects. It requires a long-term and sometimes very arduous discipline. In each meditation session, you will gain a little, but these achievements are often very subtle. They happen at the deepest level of the mind and will manifest later. If you persist in meditating in search of quick changes, you will miss the chance to see these small transformations. You will become discouraged, give up, and conclude that these changes will never happen. Patience is key. Patience. If you learn nothing else from meditation, you will learn patience. And that is the most precious lesson of all.